I want to just explain Galatians chapter 6 verse 7 and 8. It says there, "Be not deceived, God is not mocked, for whatsoever a man sow, that he shall also reap. For he that sows to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he who sows to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting." Now, there's two things that we need to look at here quickly. First thing, when we sow, what shall we reap? You shall either reap corruption or you shall reap everlasting life. So the corruption talks about, it's the opposite of everlasting life. So define it whatever way you want. Corruption is the opposite of everlasting life. Then we're going to quickly go and have a look at verse 6. It says, "Let him that is taught in word communicate unto him that teaches in all good things." That word communicate, there you can see it, is to share with others, to communicate, distribute, or to be a partaker. It's also a word that explains very well today, is a partner. It says, "Let him that is taught in word communicate unto him that teaches in all good things." So it means be a partner with him that teaches you. There's also a New Testament way of saying to give and provide for those that teach you. And then he comes and he warns them. Now the context of this finds its origin basically in the history of what happened in Galatia. The churches in Galatia heard grace, and then we can clearly see from chapter 3 that they were bombarded by law and the message of circumcision and everything. So people came in and taught there as well, but they did not teach the correct message. So there was people that preach the right message, and then there are people that don't preach the good message. It's like when I go and plant a church somewhere, I will find after I've left, some people will come in the next year or 2 or 3 after I've left, that people will preach grace, other people come in with a law message and whatever. Now he comes and he explains a certain principle here. He says, this is a good thing to do, give towards those that teach you. And he also, it's more than just giving, it means be a partaker of what they teach, be a partaker with them. So I'm a partaker with them. They teach this and they believe this, and now I'm a partaker with them. And the way I support them, the way I'm in partnership with them, is by believing what they say and by giving towards them. Now, like I said, let's take, I can go deep into this, but let's take it as including giving as well. Okay, right. Now, listen to what he says here. "Be not deceived, God is not mocked, for whatsoever a man sow, that he shall also reap. For he that sows," in other words, give himself to his flesh. Now, the context is a preacher that preaches to you. So if you give yourself to your flesh. Now, what is the flesh? Let's go to chapter 3 quickly. It says, "O foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you, that you should not obey the truth, before whose eyes Jesus Christ has been evidently set forth, crucified among you? This only would I learn from you. Received ye the Spirit by the works of the law, or the hearing of faith? Are you so foolish, having begun in the Spirit?" Now, what does it mean to be in the Spirit? It's directly connected to the hearing of faith and having faith. So when are you in the Spirit? It's when you've got faith in Jesus. And this is clear here. Let's read it again. "This only would I learn from you. Received ye the Spirit by the works of the law, or the hearing of faith?" So it says, did you receive the Spirit by the works of the law or the hearing of faith? Are you so foolish, having begun in the Spirit, now you want to be made perfect by the flesh? So he talks about beginning in the Spirit by believing, and then being made perfect by the flesh, which is called the works of the law. Now, the whole context of letter to Galatians is people that came and bewitched them and came with another doctrine and all of that. We can't go and explain verse by verse the whole book of Galatians, but that's basically it. Right, so back again. So just to recap on Galatians 3 here, being in the Spirit is believing in Jesus. Being in the flesh is seeking justification by the works of the law. The reason why Paul wrote this was because there were people that were by the law seeking justification. He was calling that fleshly, or being in the flesh, because by the being in the flesh is seeking justification by the works of the law, or they want to be made perfect by the works of the law. Back to 6. So it says, be a partaker, share in, give and believe those that teach you, but remember that God is not mocked. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man sow, that he shall also reap. For he that soweth to his flesh, in other words, if you partner, give towards the preacher that preaches the flesh or the works of the law message, you will reap from his teaching corruption. But if you give yourself to the preacher that preaches the message of the Spirit, which is freedom from the law, you will from that reap life everlasting. So the context is actually just supporting and believing in the grace message. That's as simple as what it is. God's not mocked. Don't mock God by a works-orientated gospel. Thank you, and God bless you.